It's taken days of debate, but Eurozone finance ministers have agreed to a financial rescue package worth 550 billion euros to cushion the economic blow of the coronavirus outbreak. The group's president says it's proof of European solidarity, but there's still a north-south divide over how the costs will be shared. Hermione G reports.
The Eurogroup has overcome sharp differences and a possible crisis inside the EU, agreeing on measures that could reach €500 billion to cushion the economic impact of the coronavirus outbreak. After 16 hours of negotiations, the group's president announced the deal.
The package we approved today is of a size close to 4% of European GDP, plus the automatic stabilizers that are quite powerful to protect European economies in case of crisis. This is totally unprecedented. We never ever reacted so quickly to a crisis as this one. Countries the only requirement they have is to spend this money in health-related expenditures in cure and prevention.
It's a big win for France, Spain and Italy, who've been pushing for European solidarity and the distribution of financial aid without further conditions or austerity. But still no corona bonds in sight.
To answer also the question on the so-called, this is only a slogan, this is a title, corona bonds. Since I am president of the Eurogroup, there's one thing that I always worked very hard to achieve, which is to not curtail the debate, but also not preempt the conclusion. I think we must be patient.
In the end, Germany agreed to compromise, but without signing off on Eurobonds. That left the Netherlands defending its corner alone. With billions for workers, businesses and healthcare systems, Europe is hoping it's avoided its second major crisis in a decade. Hermione G for Euronews.
Well, joining us now to help us break down last night's deal a little bit more is Shona Murray, our correspondent in Dublin. Morning, Shona. It was a rocky start to the week. We talked about that earlier on. We had 16 hours of talks that achieved virtually nothing. The EU's managed to reach a deal. Is this, or in your analysis, how much of this actually a win for European solidarity?
Well, that actually is a question, I suppose, to be answered in the capitals across the European Union. We're hearing from Mario Centino just in the last few seconds a tweet saying the Eurogroup has answered the call for European citizens. So that will remain to be seen, because we know that finance ministers had to come up with a substantial package from a finance point of view, but also to undo some of the damage that's been created among member states over the past couple of weeks in the area of solidarity. But if you look at what has been agreed, you can say that I suppose all sides have certainly moved. We had the €100 billion SURE funding from the European Commission. That was already sort of in the bag. That was in relation to mitigating from the high levels of unemployment that are coming down the tracks. €200 billion coming from the European Investment Bank, which is to help viable small and medium-sized enterprises who are obviously, going through serious cash flow problems at the moment. Then the European Stability Mechanism, which was kind of part of the controversial part. €240 billion of credit lines within that. One of the main sticking points over the past few days was the conditionality around that. Obviously, the Dutch were saying that there had to be strict, almost like bailout type conditions applied. The Italians didn't want any conditions. What they've agreed is that there won't be any conditions where the money is going indirectly or directly towards healthcare, and for the duration only of this COVID-19 disease crisis. So that was the agreement there. And then, of course, you mentioned the big sort of elephant in the room, the corona bonds, and that has been left quite ambiguous in true EU style. It's been kicked up towards the leaders, the heads of state and government, who are going to be discussing the issue and signing off on this economic package next week. But there is some language in it about a recovery fund. It doesn't say specifically how that recovery fund in the future will get money, but it talks about the use of innovative financial instruments. One side, the Dutch side, has clarified in the last few hours, saying this does not mean corona bonds. The Italian finance minister said last night this means corona bonds are on the table. So true EU fudgery there anyway.
Shona, thank you very much, our correspondent in Dublin. The rescue package is being hailed as a personal win for the Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, who'd warned that a failure to strike a deal would jeopardise the very existence of the European project. Well, let's get a little bit more of the perspective from Italy. Our correspondent Giorgia Orlandi joins us now from Rome. Morning, Giorgia. Good news for Italy then, really, particularly for the Prime Minister. But as we just heard from Shona, Corona bonds very much still on the table if they've not been parked for now. What's the Italian view of these?
Good morning, Rosie. Well, we could call these a partial victory. On one hand, yes, there has been an agreement, Europe really showing solidarity towards those countries that have been worst hit by the crisis. But on the other, Italy did not get what it had requested. And in fact, we know that southern European countries call for the European Union to issue debt, to issue bond that Rome and other countries could use to pay for healthcare and also to boost the economy. So the question of the Corona bonds remains unsolved and remains on the table, as Italian Finance Minister Gualtieri explained. And this will be probably discussed in the next EU leaders meeting that will probably take place next week. Others, including the Italian Economic Affairs Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni, praised the agreement. But here in Italy, opposition parties are attacking the government. They are against Gualtieri, including Matteo Salvini, saying that Italy failed to get what had requested. And it's the legacy of what has happened that really matters. Italians are losing faith in the EU in a way that we haven't seen before. Not just people who are traditionally against the Union, but people who call themselves pro-European